What's up, everybody? Big news in MLS today. It was just announced that Sporting Kansas City has traded Dwyer to Orlando City for upwards of $1.6 million in allocation money. This is a league record. So here's a little breakdown of exactly what KC is getting here. $400,000 in general allocation money, $500,000 in targeted allocation money, as well as up to $700,000 in future allocation money, and that is based on performance.
Hey, and one heck of a player.
One heck of a player. Dwyer is world class. But okay, let's talk about this, because this is huge. As we said, record-setting numbers here. Initial reactions from you, Kaylin, on this trade.
This is big news. You know, I think when you look at the history of the league as far as the signings that have been made, or excuse me, the trades that have been made, interleague, there hasn't been a bunch of trades. There's been a bunch of big signings. Just in the last year, that started to change a little bit more. You see star strikers, a guy like Kai Kamara last year being traded. Kevin Molino from Orlando, actually, he's the reason why they have some of that allocation money to spend. And then when I look in the history more towards Landon Donovan coming back to LA, them moving up in the allocation order. And then earlier this year, Dax McCarty. And I think that's an interesting one as far as some context for this deal. Dax McCarty, of course, traded the captain from the Red Bulls to Chicago Fire, $400,000 for that. That was seen as a lot of money at the time. Now 1.6 potentially with the incentives. That's 4 times that much. I'm not a mathematician, but I do know that much. And so when you think of it, you know, obviously being a striker, being a bit younger, sometimes that will be valued. But that seems like a lot of money for Orlando City to be giving up for a great player, but that's a lot of money for Peter Vermees and the guys.
So here's my question. Does Orlando City, they know something that we don't know, obviously. Like, what does this mean for them, and what are they getting in Dom? Do they see him sort of fitting in with what they already have, or are there probably some moving parts that are going to be happening?
Well, I think everything that you just said is right. I think really they know what they're getting. That's a big part of this deal. Dwyer, of course, was loaned out from Sporting Kansas City to Orlando City SC when they were still in the USL.
Back in 2013.
Yes, and was a leading scorer for them. That's really pushed him on in his career. So he has a connection to the club. He knows the people internally, and the fans already love him. He's spoken about wanting to go back there one day. But when you think, I think there's a tendency to look ahead and say, okay, does this mean someone is on the move, something else is happening? That's probably going to happen. Kyle Aaron being the name everyone's talking about. But I also think he fits a need. Orlando City SC is the 3rd fewest goals this year, only in front of DC United and Colorado Rapids this year. So they haven't been getting goals. And Dom, of course, is bringing them.
Okay, so Kaylin, you bring up an interesting point. As far as we know, Kyle Aaron not going anywhere, at least for the time being. So Dwyer and Kyle Aaron both on this team together. How do you see that partnership sort of forming? And I mean, is this going to just bring an onslaught of goals for Orlando? How's this going to work?
It better, because they put a lot of money on the line to make it happen. Rivas has been occupying that spot that Dom will now probably step into in that 4-4-2 diamond that Christ plays. You'll probably see Rivas make a move out wide where he's still dangerous. I do think, though, that this had to be made a move with the idea that Kyle is not going to be there for who knows how long. There are a lot of course, European suitors who have looked for Kyle, and you know that hasn't happened yet. But you make this deal if you're Orlando City because you feel you may get some of that allocation money back potentially with a sale. Now, to what degree, that's still up in the air, of course, but you bank on, hey, if we're going to have this allocation money, maybe go and spend it right now on a guy who's familiar with the city, familiar with the club, a proven striker, and a guy that's still emerging with the U.S. men's national team.
So, Kaylin, let's talk about Sporting KC right now, okay? $1.6 million. We are assuming that Dwyer is going to hit all of his incentives here. That's a lot of money to play with. So what does KC do with this?
Well, they have a gaping hole right now to fill because Dwyer, so much of the attack ran through him over the past several seasons in Kansas City, and now they have Diego Rubio to fill into that spot, but not exactly a like for like. Of course, it's not fair to expect that type of goal production out of him. But there have been talks already about Sporting Kansas City trying to get that top spot in the allocation order, potentially from Columbus Crew SC, who's sitting there right now, to bring back a guy like a Christian Nemeth, potentially, who's been rumored on Twitter. And Vermees has spoken about trying to go out and get a guy this year potentially to do that, but when you get that type of money, it gives you some wiggle room to be able to look at a DP this year, also maybe into next year. And what I like most about this is that it's a topic of conversation. For so long, we haven't been able to really understand the dynamics of trades within the league, the financials around it, and now we can compare, say, this trade to a Dax McCarty or things that have happened prior, and it makes it a fun talking point.
It does.
Yeah.
This was fun.
I love it.
You know what's going to be fun too?
What's that?
Dwyer is going to be playing for Orlando against Atlanta on Saturday. So we're going to see how this all shakes out.
On the field. I love it.
On the field. It's going to be great. Guys, stay tuned to MLSsoccer.com for more on this story and obviously everything else, all the awesome content that we put out
This
there.
week in MLS, every Monday.
Every Monday. You should tune in. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you soon.